All right, it's time to go live. Here we are at the end of another amazing week in AI and started to put things together for the discussion today, and I just couldn't turn it off. Today dropped a really amazing update by the folks at Midjourney, and I just haven't been able to put it down. It is really an incredible evolution of their product. Those of you that are familiar to the channel may know that I'm a big fan of Midjourney. I've been using it for quite some time. There are, of course, many options for image generation across the board, but for some reason, I haven't been able to put down Midjourney, and I've been very impressed with the results. I continue to really enjoy the generation experience I get out of the product. And so today we're going to dive in to Midjourney and talk about their new version 7 feature set. Some really great things happening there. Let's dive into it. I'm Daniel Lemire, founder of AI Mistakes, and I think you're going to be really impressed with this new capability that just dropped. I know I certainly have been. Every week before I start the program, I jump onto Midjourney and I generate the background for the video. I think it adds a little bit of visual interest. It is, after all, a program about AI. And I jumped into the experience and I started generating images like crazy. Honestly, I don't think I've ever had a session of image generation like I had earlier today using their new draft mode, and it has an incredible new feature. So let me just take you through what they dropped and let's talk about it because I think there's some really interesting things happening here. First, where we are right now is Midjourney has just released the alpha of their version 7. Now, technically, this did happen yesterday and it's been a few hours, but look, I'll be honest, I found out about it earlier today and really couldn't wait to get my hands on it. They have made some significant updates to their version 6. And as you see here on the chart that they've provided on the website to document what they're doing, we are in the early days of version 7. Not everything is absolutely perfect. There are, of course, some features and elements that don't work at all. Of course, version 6.1 isn't going anywhere, and it's even actually less than a full year old. So they're going to continue to evolve that. But that's not what got my attention. You see, there was a lot of discussion last week over the GPT-4 release, the image update that OpenAI gave us. But if you take a look at what you're seeing on social media for Midjourney V7, there are already some startling imagery available here for us all to enjoy and look at. And I'm really impressed with the quality that is coming out of this model. And there's even more because the way that they've implemented this capability is really exciting to me. And I've totally been enjoying it. Now, if you're new to Midjourney, they have an entire getting started guide. There's even an opportunity for you to jump in and start using it with some free credits if you want to try it out. You've never had a chance to experience it before. Want to encourage you to do that. But let's just take a minute and play with this new draft mode functionality. Of course, I've got a lot of images here that I've been generating, and what's interesting is just looking through here, you can see that we've got the text of our prompt and it's generating those 4 images across the prompt. This was the moment that I called my youngest daughter into the room to try out the feature because I just thought this was so much fun. And I gave her a chance. She came in and tried a few image generations. And of course, she's into the cute, cuddly animals, and that's perfectly fine. She had a good time with it. And then I just had a really, really lengthy session of image generation. But let's just jump all the way back to the top here. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. We're going to turn on draft mode. And once we turn on draft mode, we get this microphone. Draft mode is incredibly fast. It is 10 times faster than the V6 image generation. And all I have to do now is turn on the microphone. And when I click the microphone, it's going to pick up and start listening. And I can just spout off with whatever it is that I'm interested in seeing. And we're off and going. So let's give it a run and see what comes out of this. Okay, so this is the first problem we're encountering here. We just need to do a quick reload of the page. Sometimes the real-time API kicks out in draft mode. Not a problem. We just reload the page and off we go. I would like an image of the Smoky Mountains. How about the beach with a golden sunset? I'd like to see the coast of Florida with a hurricane approaching. A rainy sunset evening on the coast of New England. Fall in Pennsylvania. A beautiful ice rink in Canada. You see how fast I'm able to spout this off? It's absolutely incredible how quick. And what's interesting is that it's listening to me in real time and it's editing. So I can actually talk through this and it knows what I want to be a part of the image generation and what I don't. And it's turning out these images extremely fast. And what's really exciting about this is that it comes and actually keeps up with the speed of thought. I can rapid prototype and I get 4 images every time I give it a prompt. Now, to be clear, this 10x draft mode capability does mean the image quality is a little bit reduced versus what you might be used to on the platform. But look, I'm zoomed all the way in here, and honestly, I'm really not seeing any artifacts to speak of. It's not different than what we're used to with AI generation technology. And then, of course, you have all of the skills and capabilities here that let you vary it or upscale it. And as soon as you find an image that you like, you can hit the button to do the upscale, and it will then begin generating the higher quality version of that as well. Now, in order to enable this, there were a few steps that we had to take, and I'm just going to help you jump through that real quick. If you're using Midjourney like I am, you do have to get the personalize model built out. And so what this is inside the capability, and I'll be honest with you, I've been using Midjourney for going on 2 years. In fact, I'm my renewal hits up next week, and I don't think I'm going to cancel it. This is just too much fun. I never really did the personalization. I didn't take the time to go through it. I've been rating images on and off, but it wasn't something that I felt like was super important. I was getting fine results without doing it. But in order to get the V7 profile that allows me to use this new mode, I actually had to click through and do 200 rankings. And so basically what it did was it took me through and I selected from the images that it gave me what my favorite was. And so long as I was able to provide the ranking of those 200 images, that then unlocked the personalization, which you can do well more than just simply go through the profile personalization. Of course, we can delete this and start over. I don't want to go through it again, but we can do a new one just so you can kind of see what it looks like. And what's cool about this is it gives you 2 images to look through. You can even choose to skip it. So I mean, let's go back to the full screen here so you can fully appreciate what we're looking at. But you've got your choice between the left image and the right image. It's showing you that you're making a profile. You got to go through 200 images to unlock it, and you can choose 1, 2, or 3 to skip. I don't know. These are both good. And this is really the challenge with making the profile is oftentimes you have to pick between 2 really great images. I feel like we're going for the muscle car this time around. Oh, okay. I like the dragon. I like the bag. The picture of the elephants looks like fun. I'm definitely more interested in the lines. Ooh, this painting is interesting. And as you see, you don't have to spend a lot of time making a choice. And none of this is a commitment. You just have to choose which one you like more. You can click through it pretty rapidly, and that is actually defining your preferences for the model so that it can decide what attributes you find most interesting or attractive in the image generation. And so you can just sort of on a whim pick the ones that you find most visually appealing. Now, is there a rhyme and a reason behind what I'm choosing here? No, honestly, I'm just kind of it's how I feel about the image. What do I like more? The line drawing, the colors, the imagery, there's so many elements that you can leverage in choosing what image you like the most. And you as you see here, it doesn't take any time at all to click through this. Yes, you have to click 200 times, but it's not exactly a time consuming affair. And you know, clicking through these, I'll just do it real quick. I mean, golly, we're already at 38. A beautiful car at Disney World, a bird, an illustration. And this is what's cool about this. It's kind of fun actually to look through these images and choose which one I like better. All of these images are visually interesting to me, and that's probably part of the thing about Midjourney is that they have really developed a set of models that people find attractive. Now, as I'm going through this for a second time, having done it only just earlier today, I am noticing that some of the images are repeating from what I saw earlier, and they are showing up juxtaposed to other images that I didn't see before because I'm not using the exact same sequence of clicks. I'm not choosing the same images that I was before in all cases. And that is part of what is leading to the difference here. There's also a lot of new images that I did not see the first time around when I did this. So just clicking through these here, we're almost halfway through. I can choose these pretty quickly. And what reason am I choosing them? It's just a whim. However I feel about it, and it's going to create that model. What's really interesting as I'm clicking through these is what your mind does to you as you're choosing them. Like, which one do I really like more? What is it about this image that I'm enjoying? So there's a lot of cognitive things going on here with me as I'm choosing these images, but it's just such a fast process. It takes no time at all to click through these, and I'm totally enjoying it. Just very cool. Look at that. Great images. These are beautiful. And the styles are so diverse. It's using that input to decide what it's going to do when I ask for a generation. Really valuable and insightful details here. What I like about this is, so many of the configuration wizards are click here and do that, and let me explain how it works. No, this is all just entirely you are totally in control. You just click and look, it's so fast. I mean, we're loading images, we're clicking through what we find interesting. Almost there, just a few more, and we'll have it, and we'll keep on going. And we'll generate some images here so you can see what difference it makes when I choose a different model, because there are some controls here that we are given. And that's the really fun part here is that you're not married to a particular style. You can evolve and change it over time. And look, I'm not even a major art guy, okay? This is actually my wife's domain of experience. She's really into doing the graphic design. I've learned a ton from her over time. It was almost a year ago that we were talking about this web interface release that Midjourney gave us. And honestly, while I did use it a lot in Discord, I have just enjoyed the web interface so much more. I'm using Midjourney more than I was last year because of the experience that they've created. And I think this is really representative of what a good user experience can bring. There are so many elements, and they've made it very simple to use. It's not a sophisticated product experience, but the level of imagery that people are building using Midjourney is absolutely incredible. And I love to just visit the site to see what other people are generating because I think it's visually interesting to see what others are creating. That's part of the experience too with Midjourney is that the image that you create actually become public. And of course, you're free to use them as you choose, but it's out there for others to enjoy. Okay, so now we've unlocked that profile and it has created a profile code for me to use. We're going to try it out. And so what's happening now is that it has activated that profile. So now for the prompts that I give it next, it's going to use those choices and selections that I made. And now I've got to come up with some more ideas of what I can generate. Now, what's funny about this is that because I spend so much time with AI, the truth is I'm like anybody else and I can actually run out of ideas. Like this is really exciting, but I don't know. I'm actually kind of a little bit mentally fatigued. And so what has to happen here is okay, I'm just going to cheat. All right. I've got ChatGPT, I've got Perplexity, I've got Gemini. Just ask it to help me out. Okay, sci-fi and futurism, fantasy vibes. Okay. How about Frodo and the hobbits approaching Mount Doom to jettison the One Ring? There you go. Really, I mean, look at that imagery. It's so cool. And look, they're even small. They're approaching the mountain. Man, I love that. How about a mountain view overlooking a lake? Mount St. Helens just prior to the eruption. Mount St. Helens a decade later with the forests decimated. The Hawaiian Island Telescope Facility. The giant telescope in Central America from the movie James Bond. A Hollywood set to film the latest story of Shakespeare's retelling. Now, the other thing I'll point out here is there's some behind the scenes going on here. So as I'm reading off my quotes, it is actually drafting the entirety of the prompt. And if you notice, it's actually quite different from what I am verbally saying. So it is picking up my words, it's grabbing that in real time, and it's actually generating a prompt. And I think this is what's interesting. We've seen this with the likes of ChatGPT when they implemented Dolly, where you were giving it a prompt of what you were asking for, and actually behind the scenes, it was writing all sorts of different information that was driving the prompt. Now, of course, you can do anything you want with these prompts. You can modify them. You can change the way that they are working. It's very easy to use the text from one of these and modify it. And there's lots of modifiers. If you go through the help documentation, you can see all of the different variety of choices that you have. But they've just made this so incredibly easy. And I think the problem I'm going to have now is what do I do with all of these great images that are being produced? Because I have more visually interesting things to look at than I could have imagined even a few days ago. And this feature went live just yesterday. So I'm super excited about this. And I think that where we have to take the conversation now is what does this mean for those of us that are living in this modern age of AI? What does it mean to us to be at a time and a place where the AI can actually move at the speed of our thought? I think that's an incredible consideration. And it means that we have to get clarity on what it is that we want. I mean, if you look at the images here, you can see there's a lot going on. There's a lot to dive into. The amount of information communicated by one of these images is incredible. That's the good news. The bad news is, despite explaining what it is that you want, oftentimes what is generated is not exactly what we want. But oftentimes it does help us move closer. And one of the great features here that we have is it's not just generating a single image. You're getting four images at a time and you can choose between them. And it is that nuance, that ability to choose your own pathway that I really get a kick out of when I'm looking at these images because they do have slight different variation, and each of us has a different preference for what it is that we're interested in. I think that this is very likely we are seeing the edges of what's going to be possible for us in the future when it comes to writing a paper or taking a position on something. I'm increasingly finding that because I have a variety of AI tools available to me, I am actually seeking out those answers across the various solutions so I can get a different read. It's like having an entire team at your disposal because these advanced tools allow us to consider more possibilities. When I'm researching a topic, I can ask a series of questions that can help me think about the problem more deeply instead of just taking the first answer. And I think that this is really important because if you look at some of these generations, while the first answer is perfectly fine, oftentimes a later generation is actually better. And not only can I quickly iterate against the single prompt, but I have the choice to iterate and evolve that existing prompt. So let's do another great example. And maybe you saw it earlier when I was doing the live interpretation, but you can actually edit and amend that idea as it's coming through. Let's do a slightly different scene here that involves a more modern environment. And so it's going to look at that previous prompt and it's going to modify it. Oh, here, let me take out the I clicked on the text. Let's go back here. A Hollywood set for a modern day comedy. And it waits on me too. So there's a lot of flexibility here. You can not worry about your uhs and your ums. It's going to put it together. How about a sound stage that is the set for a talk show? Add colored lighting. You see, it automatically took that variation and it recognized that what I was looking for was an amendment to the previous generation. So it took the theming from the image and changed it. So this allows you to iterate extremely quickly. And I think that this is another real key theme for us as we're talking about AI and how we use it. If you're able to iterate quickly and find the thing that you need, you're going to get success faster. And this has been extremely valuable because the reality is, especially today, with the amount of artifacts and problems with the image generation, sometimes you have to try a lot of different things in order to get it to work. I remember in the very early days of setting up AI mistakes, I was actually looking for a generation of an arrow missing a target because I wanted to focus on this idea of not hitting the mark. And I wound up not using any of that imagery because it just didn't work. No matter how hard I tried, that model simply could not do what it was that I wanted it to. And so I had to iterate through and try different things until I found what worked. And in this case, I just moved on and did something completely different. But this is how it is in the age of AI. And this is the lesson that I want to share from an AI mistakes perspective because I think it's a really valuable lesson for us. It is be absolutely determined in solving the problem and then leverage these tools to iterate and enjoy the experience. Don't be afraid to get out there and try things because you just might be surprised. I mean, honestly, when I sit down to do my image generation for the backdrop on a Friday, sometimes I hit it the first time. And if you look through some of the image generations that I've done in the past, there's some really great images and there are some not great images. Like the blending here, it's a ghosted aircraft. That's not great. Oftentimes there are artifacts that are just totally undesirable, but then you get a great image like this that's just absolutely stunning, that communicates the message that you're looking for. Other times, it's just kind of funny. Testing an alien spacecraft at Edwards Air Force Base, and it comes up with the stealth bomber. I think that's kind of fun. This one is interesting because there's something going on over here, an artifact in the image that just doesn't make sense. This rendering of Cape Canaveral is not quite so good. There's a lot more space there than is necessary. It gets the idea right a lot of the time. And then other times you get some really interesting things that happen. Soaring above the ocean from a glider. And of course, this is not even a real aircraft, but it's through getting the experience and working with the technology that we're able to learn and create better things. When I create these images, oftentimes I'll come back to them later and it becomes sort of the basis for another idea I have. As I was experimenting with ideas, I remembered in Photoshop, there's this ability to create a photo mosaic. And I'm sure many of you remember what that might have looked like. You can tell that this is a photo mosaic, but it's just not quite right. And it doesn't quite fit. And as I was going through this, I was recalling where we were just last week with GPT-4 and their image creation. And it just takes such a long time to come up with the imagery. So I thought I'd come in and here, and I thought, well, maybe it'll do a better job. But even the latest GPT-4 model that was dropped last week isn't any better at this photo mosaic. So you just never quite know what you're going to get. And every model has its own quirks, its own benefits, and really, to me, its own set of purposes, each to his own. Get out there and experiment with those tools. Find the thing that makes sense for you. Don't hesitate to get out there and make those AI mistakes. That's what I had on the docket for tonight. Not every video has to be long, but here we are. It's already almost 30 minutes in. I'd be happy to hang around and chat with you. I also want to remind you, don't forget to go drop by the website. And if you're not already signed up for that newsletter, boy, I dropped a great one just a few days ago. I'm already working on April. I'm just so excited by the things that are happening in AI, and I want to share those things with you so we can experience it together, build tomorrow with the tools that are available. So much exciting things for us to explore together. And don't hesitate to reach out and share your thoughts with me. It's something I very much enjoy interacting with those of you that are watching the channel. And with that, go make some AI mistakes. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.